Hey y'all, so Jacket came out, and Sociopath is fun. I have actually been enjoying Payday 3 with this latest update. The game is actually fun every now and then when you take month-long breaks. But even then, as much as I have been enjoying Payday 3, there is always this dark, twisted, and very reasonable voice in my head that tells me to just play ResMod instead. Especially with the new inclusions in the past few updates, I fear that Payday 3 will fall victim to the same horrible power creep that ruined Payday 2, if it will even get more updates. Some would say it already has, but I think the main thing that made Payday 2's power creep horrible is the constant arms race between the cops and the players, and the cops have yet to get stronger in Payday 3. This is how we got the worst design difficulty known to man. Note how I am not saying hardest difficulty, just the worst designed, because in a game with these, it cannot be actually difficult. But I don't want to give up hope on Payday 3 yet. I personally believe that Payday 3 is fixable. It should go without saying, but I do prefer thing good over thing bad. There are these things in Payday 3 that I do enjoy, mostly the fact it's not on the diesel engine, but I do really like things like the improved hostage mechanics, the stealth is unironically amazing, and the animations are beautiful. The core of the game is good, it's just individual pieces of content that are bad, although most individual pieces of content are bad and need fixing. But this last update has vastly improved overkill weapons with the new overskill system, and Armor 2.0, hopefully, will fix the issues that I have with the armor system. Others have previously talked about issues with things like the enemies and heist design, and you don't need me to tell you the problems with 99 circles. I have talked about these things in the past, so watch some of my previous videos if you want my opinion on those. This video is going to be talking about my proposed rework to the skill system. The skill system is one of the most debated topics when it comes to Payday 3, but even then, no one has really proposed a good rework. The overskill system isn't really a skill rework system, it's more like perk decks, a supplementary system in addition to your main skill points. This video is going to be talking about a rework to the skill system, a core rework to how the buffs work, and changes to a lot of the skills. Before going into the skill specifics, we need to talk about Edge, Grit, and Rush. Now, I am someone who does not think that Payday 3's skill system is unsalvageable. I think that the Edge, Grit, and Rush system can be good, but there's gonna have to be a lot of changes. Currently, these buffs feel very unimpactful, and skills that consume a buff are not worth using, as you want to keep up these buffs, but not for their effects, but just because other skills require you to have them up. We are going to be keeping these three core buffs, but change how they work. Instead of just getting Edge or getting Grit, they can now stack multiple times. Each stack of Edge will give 5% damage, maxing at 5 stacks of Edge. The buff will last 10 seconds instead of 20, and if you have multiple stacks, instead of the buff entirely going away after 10 seconds, it will only go down by 1 stack. So if you're at 5 stacks of Edge and then don't do anything for 10 seconds, you go down to 4 stacks of Edge. If you've played Warframe, imagine the buffs working similar to the Merciless Arcanes. This will make simply having the buff a lot less micromanagey, and will make skills that consume buffs more worthwhile, as you'll still have the buff up at some percent. You will just consume 1 stack, or sometimes multiple for some of the more powerful skills. Also, the terminology should be changed for gaining and refreshing, as it is now only gain, because if you're already at 5 stacks, it will just refresh the timer. For example, Mower Aced refreshes Edge, but now it will give you a stack of Edge, and if you're already at 5 stacks, it will simply just reset the timer. Now, changes to acquiring skills. First of all, change the amount of skill points to an even number like 25. 28 is just a weird number, and we didn't need to get even stronger post-launch. Power creep is what ruined Payday 2, and it should be avoided at all costs. This community is way too afraid of nerfs, even though there are things in this game that do deserve to be nerfed. But looking at the DLC weapons and the community's reaction to the most deserved nerf in the game, I think we might be back in power creep hell. And if it gets any worse, I'll just never play this game again and stick to playing the good version of Payday. But back to this screen. First of all, color code skills based on what buffs they use, and add a search bar with a tagging system. If I type in gain Edge, it should show me all the skills that grant Edge. Just copy pd3.gg. Now, in addition to base skills, core skills, and mastery skills, I'm going to introduce a new skill type, the ultimate skill. Something that Payday 3 lacks for the most part are big, powerful skills that grant new abilities. Think of things like Iron Man, Inspire, Body Expertise, and Graze from Payday 2. These are very impactful and noticeable skills, and it's what made the Payday 2 skill system feel good as you're building into getting these powerful new abilities. The only thing in Payday 3 really is the ammo funnel replenish combo, and that's just because infinite ammo is very well balanced. Big, powerful skills like Iron Man or Body Expertise won't really work exactly the same in Payday 3 because you only need to invest 1 or 2 skill points to get any skill you want. These big skills in Payday 2 worked because of the tiered skill system, where you need to invest a lot of skill points to grab the big skill. So to get these ultimate skills, you would need to invest at least 3 skill points into its specific tree to be able to grab it, making it a total of 4 skill points. This is 12% of your total skill points to unlock a big skill. For reference, 16 skill points is how many you need to unlock a tier 4 skill in Payday 2, and that's 13% of your total skill points. So I think this is a pretty fair prerequisite. Not every skill line will have an ultimate skill, so the ones that do should stand out as specifically powerful. Now, originally, this video was going to be a lot longer, and I mean way, way longer. I was originally going to go over every single skill and suggest changes, but it was just a lot of information that was basically meaningless, and without a way to playtest these changes, what's the point of me sitting here for hours carefully designing hundreds of new skills? I decided to not give myself a bunch of work for no reason, as for as all we know, the jacket update was the last update for Payday 3. Starbreeze is moving all their staff to Project Backshots, and I don't even know why I'm still so invested in this game. Clearly Starbreeze isn't. Other than Armor 2.0, we have no idea what's next for Payday 3. I still have hope, because even though the game does have its issues, I believe they are fixable. Armor 2.0 will hopefully fix the armor system, and this video is proposing a fix for the skill system. After that, we just need to replace circles with normal timers, and then double the enemy spawn rate and special cap. And then I think the game would be way more enjoyable. So instead of talking about every single skill, I'm just going to talk about some key skills, and some other ones that serve to exist as some examples, as well as some new skills. A great example of what I mean is this. In the medic tree, change combat medic to be this tree's ultimate skill. To take this skill, you need at least 3 skill points invested anywhere in the skill line, and it grants you access to this very powerful skill. And to make combat medic feel a bit more interesting and worth being an ultimate skill, it will now consume each stack of grit you have to give you and your teammate an extra 2 seconds of invincibility per stack of grit consumed. Almost every single skill in this rework should either give, require, or consume one of the 3 buffs. Another example is High Grain. This skill would function the same, but it will now consume all of your stacks of edge to make the buff last 10 seconds longer per stack of edge consumed. Another skill to be reworked into an ultimate skill would be Blade Bouncer from the Thief tree. This rework would change it to this. Throwing knives will bounce off walls and enemies, and the number of bounces is equal to your current stacks of edge. The knives will automatically ricochet into enemies, and each ricochet into an enemy will consume a stack of edge. This will give throwing knives some AoE potential at the cost of consuming most of your edge, making this skill good in setups that are able to generate a lot of edge. Still in this skill line, I think a better mastery skill than this would be something like this. New mastery skill, Hidden Blade. Your weapon butt is replaced with a knife that deals 100 damage. This will still knock down civilians and will not kill them. Skills that generate these buffs should be more common and less annoying, and the easier to generate buffs should come at some cost, and the harder to generate buffs should give you some extra reward. Maybe Mower's 35 bullets to grant edge could instead grant 2 or 3 stacks instead of just 1 stack. And some skills that grant the buff super easily should have some sort of cooldown or something like this. Sharpshooter Basic. Headshot kills while aiming give edge. This has a 5-second cooldown, reduced by 1 for each kill. Just take this design principle and apply it to all the buff generating skills. Now, there are a few skills that do need nerfs, and here they are. For Ammo Funnel and Replenish, I have 2 ideas, and the first is this. For both Ammo Funnel and Replenish, add this. This skill has a 3-second cooldown, reduced by 1 second upon getting a kill. These 2 skills would then share a cooldown and would actually be designed to fit the Mower playstyle, making your magazine a bit bigger, but only as long as you're able to keep getting kills, and not just giving you infinite ammo. A different nerf to this skill would be something that would actually utilize this stacking buff system, and that would be to have these skills consume 1 stack of edge each time they proc. But again, they would share the same cooldown, so each kill lose 1 stack of edge to reload, and then if you don't have any more edge, it won't trigger until you get more edge. The other skill that I think needs to be nerfed, mostly in preparation for Armor 2.0, is Plate Up, and my proposed change is this. Whenever you get a kill, and you have grit, consume that grit to regenerate your current armor plate. This skill has a 10-second cooldown and is reduced by 1 second per kill. It would be a bit more complicated, but this skill should also probably have a relative cooldown based on what armor you have. It should have a shorter cooldown for the standard blue plates, but should have a longer cooldown for the resourceless shield plates. So those were the main changes to this skill system that I'm proposing. There's a lot of fine-tuning that is required to make the skill work, like adding cooldowns or limiting how many times a skill can grant a certain buff, because things like Grifter Basic would just incentivize you bumping a civilian 5 times in a row to max out the buff, and I don't think that's good. I think this idea of stacking buffs could make the skill system a lot more interesting. But to make the skill system actually good, we need a lot more skills, and I have some ideas. For new skill lines, there should be ones that introduce new ways of getting these buffs. Having them be more difficult ways to generate the buffs, but more rewarding, like say giving you multiple stacks, could be a good way to balance them. There could also be skills that buff the buffs, like say there's an edge skill line that can give you things like buffing the duration to 15 seconds, or increasing the maximum stacks of this one buff. Also, with the new over skill system, there should be a new skill line that actually interacts with it, and have skills like kills with edge active make your overkill weapon charge faster, and buffs decay twice as slow while holding your overkill weapon. With these changes I propose, I think the skill system can be salvaged. As it is right now, there's only one build, with some slight variations. There's no reason to not use ammo funnel and replenish to have infinite ammo, combat reload to have infinite uptime on your edge and grit, and plate up to have instant armor regen. The only variety comes in what weapons you use, and if you decide to use assassin or not. With these nerfs to these overtuned perks, and new ones to fill in similar roles, and also new ultimate skills that can give you powerful abilities that will consume buffs, I think the skill system could be a lot more interesting. Simply having the stacking buff system adds another playstyle. There's the playstyle of maintaining your buffs as high as stacked as possible, and then there's the other playstyle of getting your buffs to spend them. I do believe that the skill line system can work, there just needs to be a better variety of options to pick from. To summarize the points of this video, the problems with the current skill system are: Edge, Grit, and Rush are not impactful buffs. The buffs are only ever used as prerequisites for powerful skills. There are not enough powerful skills. The skill line system allows you to have every single currently powerful skill in one build. Ammo funnel / replenish and plate up are too good. My proposed changes are: Edge, Grit, and Rush change from a static 10% buff for 20 seconds to a stackable 5% buff for 10 seconds, capping at 5 stacks each for a total of 25%. Each stack will decay one at a time, not all at once. New skill lines will be added that are each dedicated to improving the effectiveness of one of these buffs. An example could be the Edge skill line granting armor penetration based on your current edge stacks, and a Grit skill line granting armor recovery speed based on your current grit stacks, as well as providing additional benefits like increasing the duration of one buff. Each buff generating skill will have its own internal cooldown of roughly 5 seconds. This will incentivize using more than one skill for sourcing buffs. The stronger stackable buffs will create two playstyles, one about maintaining the buffs and one about spending the buffs. Add ultimate skills that require at least 3 skill points invested in that specific tree to unlock, and these are more powerful skills. This will fix the issues of both not having enough powerful skills and the ability to grab every single powerful skill in one build. This will add more build diversity by not allowing one player to have access to everything. Add more skills that consume buffs to have powerful effects. Many skills can be reworked to act like this, consuming a buff to have a longer duration for their effect, and examples being Combat Medic and High Grain. Currently overtuned skills can be changed to consume a buff to maintain their powerful effects, but now will have some requirement that will reward high skill gameplay. New ultimate skills are allowed to be very strong if they have to consume a lot of buffs to activate. Add more skills that can generate Edge, Grit, and Rush. Harder to activate skills can generate multiple stacks at a time, such as Mower Aced providing 2 or 3 stacks of edge instead of just 1. Almost every single skill should either grant, require, or consume Edge, Grit, or Rush. Let me know your thoughts on this current skill system and my proposed rework in the comments. And while you're down there, you might as well fix this graph. If you're tired of Starbreeze's poor treatment of their flagship IP and want a good Payday experience, then, I don't know, just download Resmod.